So today I have the pleasure of introducing my former professor at MTSU, Dr. Dave Wood. He is a DBA, CPCU, and CRM. Not sure what those mean, but a lot of letters next to your name, so that's good. He holds the Martin Chair of Insurance in the College of Business at Middle Tennessee University. He serves on many boards, including the National Alliance for Insurance, Education, and Research. He teaches in the Certified Risk Management Program and is education consultant. Dave led the development of a full major in risk management insurance in the Jones College of Business, which is actually the class that I took for him. He actually gave me the internship leading to my career that I'm in now. In 2020, the AM Best Review magazine recognized the Jones College RMI program as the #1 program in the country. I think that deserves a round of applause. Dave worked as an independent agent prior to his career in education. If you're an agent in here, I advise you talk to him. He's very knowledgeable. His research interests include risk, financing, solvency issues, and agency brokerage operations. He has published extensively in academic and insurance trade journals. Dave has received numerous awards. Most recently, he was honored to receive the Middle Tennessee CPCU Chapter Legacy Award in September of 2022. Everybody, please welcome Dr. Wood.
Thank you, Troy.
Yes, sir. Thank you. I'll let you manage.
I'll try. Fantastic. Well, thank you. I'm really excited and pleased to be here. Thank you for that awesome introduction. And it's so rewarding to have students and to see them go into their careers and flourish. So I really appreciate this opportunity. So why are you here? Why do you want to hear a professor talk about making effective presentations? I mean, professors aren't very, when they stand up in front of the class, I think we probably make every mistake in the book, so why would you listen to a professor make? I guess really my question is, why do you want to make effective presentations? What about it, Brandon?
Well, I know that it would really help my professional development. I know that it will reach a wider audience.
Okay, great. Yes, sir?
It's a closed business.
It's a closed.
It's a closed business. If you're meeting with people, we have an opportunity to share what you do, if you can present it effectively.
Exactly, get it closed, get the sale. All right, or the commitment, or the service, or whatever it is, yes.
To be more trusted.
To be more trusted, okay, fantastic, I like that, yes.
To get your point across so that people will pay attention to what you're saying. If the presentation sucks, then whoever's listening to you is going to be disengaged, and then they're not going to, know what you do or have the understanding.
Have a voice, exactly. Thank you. Anybody else? Any other thoughts? There's no wrong answers. I don't have another slide with the answers on it. I want to know why you're interested in this this topic. So that's exciting, and that's really what I'm trying to drive home. Is that well, first that it's important, but secondly, I was trying to make a point about my first point, which is that you want to engage your audience. You only get one chance to make a first impression, and so you want to see that your audience is interested in your topic, why they're interested in your topic, and kind of where they're coming from. So that first few minutes is very important. And what did I do with my phone? Because, oh well, just when I had it. No worries. You're gonna help me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. You want to memorize that first opening comment so that you don't botch it. I went ahead and put it on the slide to make it doubly effective. So in case I haven't memorized it, I've got it right there on the slide. So there's no doubt as to how to get started. Realize that it's more than just what's on the slides. It's more than what's on the screen. And really, most importantly, is your delivery, your presence, the way you're dressed, the way you speak, the way you engage the audience. That's the first thing that the audience is going to remember. Okay, the second thing is your slides. And so they should be good. And we're going to talk a lot about what to do and what not to do, or more what not to do than what to do. But the slides are important. And third is the words. They're not going to remember exactly what you've said, and it is important, especially if you're in insurance or the legal profession. It's got to be right. You've got to make sure you're going to be trusted, that you're going to demonstrate that you have that integrity. So obviously, I'm not saying that what you say is not important. I'm saying what they're going to take away is how you made them feel, how they perceived you as a person. Did this person come across as having knowledge, integrity, responsibility? Those are the sort of things that they're going to take away. So it's not just what's on the slide. It's a multimedia show, if you will. And so when you come, you want to figure out, okay, where are we? Where am I going to be? Does the AV work? How's it set up? So you want to understand what your environment looks like. So get there early. Get to meet the audience, the people you're going to be talking to. Invariably, the light bulb will burn out on the projector, or something will go wrong. Trey won't be able to pull up my presentation on his computer. Something will go wrong. So I teach risk management, and one of our tools, techniques in risk management, is to have a backup. So I've got my slides printed out. In case it bombs, I'm not just stuck. I can pick up there. It won't be as effective. You won't have the visual, but at least it's not just a total bomb as well. In case Trey forgot to bring my bio, I brought him a copy in big letters, so it's easy to see. You want to make sure, and you want to write your own bio. You want to have some control over how you're going to be presented. Typically, they're going to ask you, but in case they don't, or if there's any question about how the introduction might go, they just might say, hey, if you don't mind, use this to introduce me. So that's a tip as well. And keep it updated. Get here early. Again, you want to meet your audience. You want to get to know Brianna, for example, which I didn't. I just learned about you. I didn't get to meet you yet, but blame Trey. Think about what questions might get asked. You don't want to get totally caught off guard or asked a question and you have no idea what the answer is because you really haven't thought about it. So think about it. So what questions might be asked? And you might even plant a question. I'm supposed to have a current student here. She didn't show up, but I was going to plant a question with her. So I don't have any questions planted, but I think we'll be fine. But sometimes it just takes that either calling on somebody, but you have to know your audience to do that, or have that question planted. And once one person asks a question, then other people will start asking questions as well. And realize that you guys want to see me do well. I mean, you want this to be a good presentation. You don't want to see me fall flat on my face and make a fool of myself. Nobody does. So realize your audience is, they're cheering for you. They're going to be supportive. They're going to be very compassionate and feel your pain if you do stumble. So don't let that bother you. We've all been there. Engage the audience. And there's some repetition here intentionally because as you know, when you're trying to make a point, you have to repeat yourself several times. So don't hesitate to do that. Enough said. This is if you're in a sales position or a legal, you're making a presentation as a lawyer, you might refer to a previous presentation that you've done. You might refer to a TED Talk, some other presentation so that they realize, well, this isn't your first rodeo, and even if it is your first rodeo, at least you've seen other presentations, you can refer to something. When you ask a question, When the audience asks a question, repeat that question, especially if you're in a larger group. Because frequently, somebody in the back can't hear what somebody in the front has asked, and you jump into this long explanation, and they've got no idea what you're explaining or what you're talking about. So always, and this is one of the biggest things I see, mistakes I see speakers making, is not repeating the question. They'll enter into a discussion with one audience member, and everybody else is not really sure what's going on, what the topic is. It's always good to do that because it breaks the ice. It helps you as well, knowing that you're going to be prepared for it and you have a softball to hit out of the park. Make it your own. It is so hard to present other people's material, and I have to do that constantly. So CPCU stands for Chartered Property and Casualty Underwriter. CRM is Certified Risk Manager. So I teach in the Certified Risk Management program, and I'm on the national faculty, so now I'm Zooming all over the country. I used to get to travel a lot and still do a little bit of that. I get to go to California later this year. And invariably, not invariably, I have to use their materials. I don't have any choice. I have to present what they have put together, the National Alliance has put together for me, because everybody's material has to be the same. And it's so hard because you're talking to professionals like yourselves, and you're wanting to engage them with where they are and what they can use next week in their businesses and in their professions. And if you're using somebody else's material, it might not necessarily line up with exactly what you think is important. So that can be somewhat problematic. So make the presentation your own. Take it, rip it apart, stick some other stuff in. Hopefully you'll have the freedom to do that. But if you don't just pull one off the shelf. When you Google how to make effective presentations, and lo and behold, there's probably 5 or 6 PowerPoints already out there that I could have grabbed and brought in. Okay, so what not to do is frequently as important as what to do. And when you're making it your own, I really can't tell you exactly how you would do it. You want to make it your own. Present it the way you would want to present it. But I can't tell you what not to do in a lot of cases. So if you have a typo, which is most frequent, don't call attention to it. I'll bet you 90% of the people didn't even notice that you had a typo up there. Or they, went in one, a millisecond of a thought and then they moved on. But when you call attention to it, you're just pointing out your mistakes. So, no need to do that. Don't apologize for if the technology doesn't do well or something doesn't go exactly right. Everybody realizes, they know it's not your fault. You don't have to make that the focus of your presentation. And they say, oh, that would have been a great presentation if the projector board hadn't worked out. You don't even want to call attention to it. Just move on. We all, especially in the insurance industry, we do a lot of this. And you are going to experience this, let me rephrase that, it's going to become a problem for you as you get more and more experienced and well-versed in your profession. Because you think everybody uses that jargon, because you use it with your colleagues and your co-workers all day long. So, for example, you might say, I'm here today to present this reinsurance plan for your GL, AL, D&O coverages. We've done a triangulation and we've identified that the IBNR is somewhat out of bounds, and so we want to recommend a retro plan to handle the work of labor. Okay, well, you're going to present that to a client and they've got no idea what you're talking about. Now, really sophisticated client might, but even then, how you use certain things like VI is one that I hear all the time. VI, are you talking about bodily injury or are we talking about business income? And those are two insurance, so I'm just making a point. Don't get into the jargon. Don't go there. Explain it. You are going to demonstrate that you really know your stuff but you're really gonna turn off your client by trying to show how smart you are. I had a presentation, pick a group, the smartest thing I've done in my career is I created a course called International Insurance Markets. And I teach it every May, well, except for the COVID. And so we're gonna go again this May, and we go to London for a week and learn about how insurance is transacted really in this country and also and across the world, as much of it goes through London. So the smartest thing I ever did, I get to go to London every year. But we had a speaker there, and I swear, I think his goal was to just make the students just feel really, really stupid. I'll ask stupid questions because I know my students don't know what he's talking about. And he just insisted on just jumping up to the next level, jumping up to the next level. I kept trying to bring him back down, explain it to us. So don't do that. I've seen CEOs do this. They stand there and turn their back totally to the audience and talk to the screen. They never, very distinct, pet peeve of mine for instructors to do that. Believe me that once you have fired up your laptop, it's showing on the screen, what's on the laptop still gonna be on the screen. I promise you, I've never seen it be any different. Once you've checked it and started your presentation. This is another one that frequently people fall into. It may be because they're not prepared, they might be nervous, for some reason, it's definitely one of the deadly sins. Sin number 5 is don't announce the title of your slide. That drives me crazy. That's a pet peeve of mine. I've done it once. It's not that big deal, but every time. Sin number 5, sin number 6, and then the person will talk. The slide title is up there. You don't have to announce what the slide title is, what you're talking about on this slide. So I've got some examples here that I want to show you about what your presentation should look like. So can you see any of that? Can you figure out, does that make any, there's no way you can, if you're in the back of the room, of course, you might have really good eyes. Is it Brandon? Can you read that across the bottom? Know what those are? Yeah. So don't put a slide like that. If you need, that information is critical, then prepare a handout or break it, do a slide on workers' compensation, which is what they are, slide on commercial packages. Break it into a separate slide. There's no penalty for having too many slides, even though that is one of my other sins, is having too many slides. But if it affects the length of your presentation, is why you shouldn't have too many slides. If you're just flipping through them quickly, that's not a problem. Gosh, this is an actual presentation from for my student group. And I asked, hey, can I have you? I always ask for their presentations. But way too much information on one slide. And actually that is 14 point font and that slide I just switched from. So you can see the difference there. This first one, I guess you can read this, 14 point font, 24 point, 36, 48. Don't ever go below 24 points. Don't ever go below 24. If it has to be below 24, you need another slide or you need some other way to demonstrate the concept. Okay, I apologize. Oh, you did get it.
Hey,
okay.
that's
How'd
how
that happen?
I don't know.
Okay, so let me ask you, I'm going to show you 2 little videos, and I want you to tell me which one of these persons you would most likely want to do business with.
Is there sound in them?
No.
Sweet.
There is, but I'm leaving it out. I can tell you the first guy opens up with, This is the first thing out of his mouth is, So, here's my first one. pause this just a second. This is I teach a course, or I used to teach a program, an executive program, and this was a case that these two teams were presenting. And look at, this is his team. He's presenting for his team. The material, the information was great. They did a great job. The presentation was horrible. And these are insurance executives. Okay? So, and then the other team's over here on this side. So let's start. He finally turns. I'm like, I'm just going to pick my phone up and start videoing this guy because he's not looking at me. And so I finally did that, and then I got permission to do the next one. He finally turns around and I put my phone down. Here's the next one. He still has too much information on his slide. But he never looks at it. He's got his notes in his hand in front of him. He's going to explain this material in his own words. He's not, and the other guy was reading the slides. He doesn't need to read the slides because he knows what's up there. And actually, he has his laptop right here. So which one of those guys would you rather do business with? Back up. Yeah, wouldn't, I mean, the second, doesn't the second presentation just instill a whole lot more confidence? Just by what they presented. So I asked my students, what are the things that, I bring in a lot of guest speakers. I said, the guest speakers that we've had, I want you to tell me what are the things that you liked from their presentations and what are some of the things that you don't like. I make presentations my own. I can't tell jokes. I just don't do it. I don't even go there because I'm either going to botch it or offend somebody. So I just stay away from jokes, but students love it. What do we have? Food. That's always good. They want you to be casual. They don't want it to be very formal. Some person stands behind the video. Now, I work with an instructor who walks to the back of the classroom when we're doing these certified risk management presentations, and he stands back here and presents. I don't like that. Do you like that, Tasha? For me to be standing behind you? No. But he constantly does that. I think that's a horrible idea. That's a little bit too casual. The gap words. I never heard my students say too many gap words. I'm like, okay. She explained it to me. I said, yeah, I get it. The videos, I did well there. Prizes. I had a guest speaker come in from Snap-on Tools, and he must have had a bag full of 30 different giveaways. These little trucks and toys and cars and stuff. And every time a student answered a question, you give them a little prize. So they like that. And then passion. You need to talk about something that you're interested in, you're passionate about it. These are the things they don't like. Some of this surprised me. The too much video surprised me. Too many pictures, that surprised me as well. Crazy transition. I don't like that. As a matter of fact, I went back and modified this presentation as a result of that feedback. Okay, so this is something that's important to you. You want to do this? Let's do it. Here's what you need to do. Start off with something that's very comfortable. Your coworkers supporting each other, maybe take turns during the staff meeting, making some sort of presentation, if your company or your environment will work for that. Maybe doing a toast or an introduction to a small group. You can do family reunions, things like that. Say, hey, Uncle Charlie, I know you're always in charge of the family reunion, but can I get up and just say a few words? I'd like to practice my speaking skills. This organization, you each need to present to the group on various topics. And then church is always a great place too. Is anybody in Toastmasters? Do we have a Toastmasters here in Murfreesboro? Somebody know?
They do. There is one.
There's one?
Yeah.
I did Toastmasters and I loved it. It's very low key, it's designed for people that want to learn how to speak, but they just are scared to death, or they have no idea how to get started. So you start off talking about yourself. They give you like a light system, to let you know how much time you have left, so you don't go over. Which is one of our other sins that I left out, is going over time.
You have 2 minutes left.
Thank you. So I want to make sure that I don't go over. Another sin that I left out is not having your slides numbered. Always number your slides. Like I told you earlier, when you memorize your first opening sentence, memorize your last sentence. And after you've given your your memorized conclusion, shut up and sit down.